10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. And our headlines for today are basically kind of a mixed bag of everything we have going on out there. A few showers out there this afternoon. We've kind of seen that. We'll keep a few around this week, mainly around midday. So we'll delve into that. It's not a big deal. Don't cancel any plans for rain. That's for sure. Although yesterday we had some good thunderstorms over parts of western Hillsborough and Pinellas County for sure. We have a cooler weekend ahead, at least a lot less humidity, right? Temperatures will drop a little bit. It's not terrible, but you're going to notice the drier air. It's going to feel so good, especially Saturday and Sunday. I think we'll have the driest air. It's going to feel incredible. Still watching the tropics and still expecting tropical development. We actually have two waves that we're watching. One, though, out in the middle Atlantic, and that one has about an 80% chance of developing. So we'll get to that. And then, of course, that nice breeze out there. We're actually going to keep that. Nothing too much, but we're going to keep the kind of the breeze going through the weekend, all this week and through this weekend as well. Let's start with the showers. Look at the East Coast, man. Just getting nailed over there like they have been all week, really. It's this really east to southeast flow now, and that's what's giving us our showers. Now, in this case, we only see a few of these kind of making it over in our direction. You can see a lot of them are just real thick, heavier over here, then they tend to fall apart. But we do get some. We have gotten some today, and if you look at the radar now, you can see most of that is falling apart. You get down here to Manatee County, Bradenton area, out on Longboat Key, Longboat Island, Amory Island, should say Longboat Key, and then down towards Venice. Still some showers in the area. Now you see the heavier rain down there is just offshore, or I shouldn't say just offshore, just off from Venice. It's on its way, so I do expect the showers to pick up there. But that's really about it. If you look upstream a little bit, there's not a whole lot. It's really kind of falling apart, obviously, until you get over to the East Coast. And man, oh man, do they have a lot of rain, and some thunder's in the mix as well too, but they've been just getting dumped on. This is the forecast. What is this? This is the last 24 hours, I think. Look at some of these rainfall totals over by Titusville. I mean, we're talking 5-6 inches of rainfall. And most of that was today, right here in this area, just south of Palm Bay. 5 inches of rainfall. You get south of Rockledge, it's over in 3 inches. So obviously, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see where the heaviest rain has been over there on the East Coast. Now, the next 12 hours, we do have a small chance here. That 60% was a little high, I think, but you can see temperatures will be coming down. And don't forget the winds are on this graphic as well, too. You can always check those out. And you see that east to northeast going about 5 to 10, at least 7 to 10, even for the overnight hours. It'll be a little bit breezier as we get going into the next couple of days. So here we go. There, it's a good looking look at the evening. I do think we'll see a few showers out there. Take a look at this shot outside right now. It's still a little warm. It's still a little humid. This is the Van Wezel Performing Arts Hall view of the Ringling Causeway. All right, you can see it pushing off. Those showers are actually leaving. They're moving away from the camera. So we still have some sunshine in the mix out there. Now, our forecast model, let's just kind of take a look at the bigger picture here real fast. And this will show you what we can expect. This is tonight, right around 7 o'clock. We clear things out. At least most of the rain goes away. We'll keep a few clouds and a nice breeze. That's 11 o'clock. Now, I show you 11 o'clock because look at central and eastern Polk County. Still a couple of sprinkles are around. All right, this is not going to ruin your night or anything like that, but that is going to be still the case. Then tomorrow we start dry, lots of sunshine, another breeze, just like we have been all the way through the weekend. Tomorrow afternoon, 20 to 30% chance for rain. It's not a lot. This is around 1 o'clock. That's around 3:30, and you can see that's really one of our best times to see showers. So it's not a lot. It's there, but yeah, the sprinklers have to be on. All right, we're not getting enough rain for that. Now Tuesday, 8 o'clock, drying things out just like we had the last several nights. Once we get past really 4, even 5 o'clock, we're done with most of the rain. This is Wednesday at 2:30. Notice we do have a few showers here, and especially I-4 southward. Okay, now watch as we go through the evening hours. I wanted to zoom this out because this is Wednesday night, and you see this low sitting down here. Now this is what we call the graph model. And we're trying to figure out, like, is there a low here or is there a low that forms out here? And you see this is a frontal boundary up here with a high pressure. That's the center of the high, right up there at the top of your screen. So this frontal boundary is coming through, and along that front we might get a low to develop here. We want a low to develop here because if it does, it'll pull in cooler, drier air from up there, okay, behind that front sitting somewhere right in here by the time we get towards Wednesday night. Okay, that would be your cold front, just like that. And if a low forms here, because it has that counterclockwise flow, it just pulls some of that drier air down. This here would argue that we kind of get more of an east to southeast flow, and we stay a little bit on the warm and muggy side. Now, this is through Wednesday into Thursday, but you can see it still has this front here, and it's not developing a low yet. But by the way, this is one of the reasons why we keep our breezes. But there's the low down south, okay? So that's the graph model. Now, let's talk a little bit about the tropics, because these two are going to come together here, and I'll explain here in just a minute. We've got two areas to watch. First, the area in the Gulf, or really it's actually in the Western Caribbean at this time, but that's not really a concern. This is basically what we call that Central American gyre, which kind of goes around like this, and it causes low pressures to form. And then occasionally one will form here and then kick off. Okay, that's what this is saying. It's only a 10% chance for development. It's not a big chance. What we really need to watch is this one, and even that one, which looks really good, looks like it wants to recurve. Okay, so yes, we have some things to watch in the tropics. This is one of them that we will watch, but there's a lot of wind shear around coming down in from the north and the west eventually. And we're going to get another trough coming up like this. So that's going to make it really tough for something in the Gulf right now to form, and that's great news. That's what we want to see. But you can clearly see, I mean, look at all this convection here moving across the Yucatan into the Bay of Campeche there. So yeah, we've got some stuff to watch there. Now, this is the low that we were watching. It did not develop. However, again, our graph model is thinking that we do slowly try and develop something in here. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't expect anything coming out of that. This is the wave with an 80% chance. Now, it's called Invest 95L. We actually have models being run on this, okay? So we can track it. They've got some numbers estimated at 30 mile per hour winds, moving to the west at 20 miles per hour, okay? But if you notice, it's still in a pretty good organization right now. You can see some really good rotation here. This is going back the last 12 hours of visible satellite. You can really see it starting to rotate. So that's why it has that 70 to 80% chance of developing. Now, here we go. Let me stop this right about here, and we'll run this up. You can see very close to the Northeast Lesser Antilles, the Windward Islands here. You see all this? That's going to be close, okay? Most of the model takes the center just offshore. That would be a great track if that were to happen. Some of the hurricane-based models actually, that's the UK, actually take it to the south. But we're thinking mainly it goes just off the Northeast Islands. There's the H-Wharf, one of the hurricane models, and it has it just offshore. There's Bermuda, by the way, sitting right here. All right, they just had that storm come through. It looks like this wants to go to the east. So that's why I say this is not a huge issue for us. It is something that we need to watch. But right now, especially when you have fronts coming through down to here, that's a position that really helps us to pick anything up and take it out to sea. So that solution looks pretty good to me. This is the GFS model. So let's keep an eye on that circle you see out there, right there, this one, okay? That's it. Now, remember the graph had a low in here, but this is by Friday. It almost seems like the GFS had something here, kind of drifted it off towards the west, okay? So maybe somewhere over in here. All right, I don't see anything major developing here. We'll keep an eye on it. But here's our ridge. Here's the frontal boundary laid out right here. What happens underneath this ridge? Okay, that's what you want to do. You get this high pressure, you look underneath the ridge. And let's see what happens off the East Coast. See that? That was Friday and Saturday. This is Saturday evening. Another Carolina potential hit. All right, they haven't had direct hits really, but they've had these northeast winds. They've had quite a bit of weather to deal with. But it looks like they could be doing it again. Now, if this happens, remember, it's going to be pulling down some air like this. And that's why we would get drier air for the weekend. This is Saturday, especially in the Sunday we'd be feeling, but we'd already be feeling it on Saturday. So I'm kind of pulling for this, right? I don't want the Carolinas to have to deal with it, but I would like to get some of that drier air down here. Meanwhile, look at this. This is what's there of the one that's right now, a 70 to 80% chance, right? There's the ridge. So it's going to try and head up towards Bermuda a little bit, mainly go just to the east of Bermuda, which is right here. There's Bermuda, okay? So it goes to the east, and our low goes up to D.C. And then actually, watch this low. It's weak. It's more like a nor'easter, but a weak one. And then it kind of drifts back down to the south, and here we are again. Again, this would be a good thing for us here because we would see this pushing down and trying to bring in some drier air. okay? Because it's so close to us, what we'll have is, especially this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, yes, I think it's going to feel nice if that happens, right? But then we're going to have some waves where it comes back to humid and then back to seeing some drier air, just because the proximity of that low is a little close, and it's not a developing low, but that northeast wind will go east sometimes, and that's enough to push some moisture in our direction and then come back around. So this is a good sign, right? It's October, should be seeing some drier air this time of the year, and I certainly think we will get some. Looks like a little bit worked its way in this weekend. Legit front, probably closer to about the 19th, 20th of the month. All right, 4:40, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with this, and we'll talk a little bit more about just how dry and cool the air will get. That dry air coming in, you can see we have, welcome back everyone, you can see we have some of the dry air in the mid-Atlantic states right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this map. You can see dew points in the 50s. So this is a way here in Florida that we can really look at it, because dew points really tell you if that air is dry or not. And if we can look at that map now, it's 59 degrees in Washington, 55 in New York City. And watch what happens as we work our way through this week. There's not a big change for us, but look what happens to D.C. and the Carolinas. That's by Thursday. So you can see some really dry air. That's that front coming through there that I was talking about. And if we can get a low to form out here, it almost wants to go like that, obviously it can pull that down here. That's what we're watching for, okay? And in fact, that's what's going to probably get down here. So let's go out through Saturday and look at our dew points. They finally start to drop. In fact, they'll actually start, let me back up a little bit here. This is Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday, and then Sunday, I think that's Sunday afternoon. Let me run that out. Yeah, 6 p.m. So dew points down into the 50s. It has been a long time since we've had dew points in the 50s. So you will notice it this weekend. Plan something outdoors for your upcoming weekend. And we'll keep it around for a few days. Here's a closer look at what that's going to look like. So you see those numbers in the 70s. It's going to feel pretty much like it is out there right now as far as humidity goes, all right? Now notice Friday morning, wake up still kind of warm. Friday afternoon, maybe, especially if you're north of I-4. We're starting to see a little bit more in the way of drier air. Friday evening, yeah, it's coming through. That's Saturday. In fact, let me back this up here and put a stop Saturday morning. You can see Saturday a.m., it is drier than what it is now. You'll notice that. But then look, as we go through the day on Saturday, it drops. And then really the big drop is going to be through the day on Sunday. And so That right there is that, I want to say first taste of fall, because we've kind of had some, but that's the first real good taste of fall right there, with dew points in the 50s with some low 60s along the coast. Even look at Miami, dew points dropping down in the 68 range, probably go a little bit lower than that. That's comfortable for them. They will notice the difference. This goes out through Monday afternoon, and we keep that nice air. So 3-day weekend, Monday off. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice one. I would, that's certainly something to keep an eye on. Here are the temp and heat index forecasts. So what you're going to notice is that you don't get a lot of heat index when you have drier air. So if you look right now, dew points in the 70s, I mean, it's 89, makes it feel like it's 97. Okay, we haven't been talking about this much because we're just so used to it, but that's because of the higher dew points, right? Dew points in the 70s, and 90 on Thursday, possible. We would feel more like 97, but then Friday, still warm, still humid, but look at Saturday. Remember, the air's drier, so this difference is only 84 to 87, right? So the difference is lower, and then certainly Sunday, 86 to 87, which basically means it's going to feel like what the temperature is out there because the air is dry. Because what happens is that humidity in the atmosphere makes it harder for sweat to evaporate off of your skin. So when you get warm, you start to sweat just a little bit, that evaporates if there's dry air in place, and it creates a little cooler air right around your skin where that evaporation occurred. Okay, if you have a lot of moisture, you have those dew points in the 70s, that doesn't happen that much. All right, when you get those in the 50s, that happens, and you start to feel better. That's one of the reasons why it feels so good out there. Now let's talk a little bit about the wind. So we've had some gusts today in the 28 mile per hour gusts just this past hour in Brooksville. Most of this is a little less than the weekend, low 20s for gusts, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds on average. That's sustained wind, a steady wind. And I think we're pretty much going to keep that. I'd go 10 to 15, a solid 15 mile per hour winds most days with gusts in the low 20s all the way through the week. This is not going to have a bunch of stops. This is tomorrow afternoon. And you see some of the numbers there, gusts to around 20, sustained winds generally in the 10 to 15 mile per hour range. All right, it's not a lot of breeze, but it's more than normal, and it's going to stick with us. This is Wednesday morning. All right, still a little breeze in the morning. Wednesday afternoon is right here. Gusts in the teens to low 20s, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Again, not a lot, but you can see it will continue. And then as we get into Thursday, same deal. And most of this, east to northeast. So the wind direction pretty much stays the same as well. It might go a little bit more northeast and then a little bit more east, but it's not going to go too much more off of that. So here's the next 12 hours, and you can see that we do not have, you shouldn't see that, have a weather impact alert. We don't have enough rain for that, nothing that's really going to be too inconvenient for you. I'd watch the Skyway Bridge with the breezes, which we've been doing all weekend long, so kind of the same there, although I think we'll have a little less wind than what we've seen. Few rain chances around the area right now. We'll keep that in through about 7 o'clock or so, especially if you're in, say, eastern Polk County. But not expecting a whole lot, to be honest with you. Most of it's out of here already. And that's kind of the timing as we go through this week. We're going to be looking at basically 1 p.m. through about 3 to 4 o'clock, the best timing for our showers. Most of it's just rain, very few thunderstorms, but there'll be a few. And then we will see less and less as we go through the middle of the week. Boating. So we've had some pretty good issues with boating, right? I mean, with all the winds that we've seen. This is tomorrow, and you see that east to northeast wind. It doesn't come down a whole lot, so we're still going 10 to 20 knots of wind with 2 to 4 foot seas, a moderate chop on the bay, and we do have small craft exercise caution. So we're not quite to small craft advisories, but look, especially on the bay. I mean, you're coming out of St. Pete, it's bumpy. You've got this whole fetch coming in from Beer Can Island all the way down to the mouth of the bay, including Egmont Key. I mean, there's a lot of wind there. Now, yes, right up against the beaches, obviously, it's going to be flat because the wind's blowing. So the further offshore you go, that obviously is going to be really bumpy. But if you were just trying to come out of the back of Clearwater and pop out on the front end of a Honeymoon or something like that, or even Three Rooker, it's a little bumpy in the intercoastal for sure, but once you get out on the front end, it's looking good out in the Gulf. All right, weekend forecast. This is looking ahead, and we're basically going to go with mid-80s. This one's a little bit on the warmer side. Let me take that out and show you this. Our rain chances as we go through this week, not a lot. 30%, and this looks like a lot of coverage, I know, but down here, that's a lot of coverage. This is just sporadic here, okay? Even less. Look how much of it is mainly south of I-4 on Wednesday. Thursday, it's mainly over on the East Coast, And then Friday, it's down south again. Now, we'll have to see what this low looks like because Saturday, you see this rain up here towards Daytona. That's likely coming in from the north, maybe the north-northeast, probably north-northeast. But that's not a trajectory that gets it all the way over here, okay? That's not enough for that. So I think we're mainly dry, just a couple of sprinkles around, especially for inland locations over Saturday and Sunday. And so much dry air will be in place if we can get that in here that it will actually soak a lot of that up. You know, you'll have what we call virga, some rain trying to fall, and it won't last very long because it'll get eaten up by the drier air. All right, 4:50, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and finish up with the 7-day forecast. Weather impacts your life every day. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. You can find out about any change in the weather with our 10 Tampa Bay Plus app. Just stream for the latest forecast, any weather impact alert, updated tropics forecast, and take a live look at the radar. Anytime you want, and it's free. It's just one more way we're helping you stay informed, prepared, and connected. Stream 10 Tampa Bay Plus.
Jeopardy is for everybody.
That's amazing. Oh, yeah.
With players just like you.
Paramedic, a retired teacher, psychiatrist.
I'm a little bit competitive.
That's the spirit.
Watch their victories.
We have a giant killer.
And heartbreaks.
Oh, no.
The next super champion could be anyone.
It's almost like a superhero origin story.
It could be you.
Oh, wow.
It's all happening on Jeopardy.
Jeopardy weeknights at 7:30 right here on 10 Tampa Bay.
I was driving when an 18-wheeler turned in front of me. I locked up my brakes, bam, slid dead into the truck. Bloody and hurt, I was loaded into an ambulance, and that's when I put out my phone and called attorney Dan Newland. Dan jumped right on it. He was in my corner the whole way. He fought the fight from beginning to end and got me $1 million.
Involved in a car accident? Call me now at 813-888-8000.
Dan, your awesome team deserves 6 stars. Thank you for winning my case.
Before hurricane season hits, it's time to prep your home. Secure outdoor equipment and generators. Clear debris from around your AC unit and schedule a pre-storm HVAC and electrical inspection.
Those are some great tips. And Cool Today is here to help you weather the storm. For over 60 years, we've been here to help Floridians with their cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. We can help you prepare, protect, and repair your home. Call 888-40-TODAY.
Okay, 4:52. Let's look at a little bit of the big picture here. I'm going to show you the dry air in relation to that low that may form out off the southeast coast. So right now, the darker green that you see there, that's the higher humidity. That's our better rain chances. That's all that afternoon shower activity that we've seen. I know we haven't seen a lot over here, except for yesterday afternoon, but over on the East Coast, you can see that flow. Now watch as we go through the